Hello viewers, you're welcome to Statistics Scribe. I'm Beatrice Christopher. God's willing, in these tutorials we're going to talk about the rules for naming variables in IBM SPSS statistics. So quickly, I'd like you to know that variable names are stored in the dictionary of the data file. In this tutorial, I categorize these rules into must, can or may, and can't. So quickly, let's begin with must. Rule number 1. Each variable name must be unique. That is, duplication is not allowed. What I'm saying here is that upper and lower cases are all the same, or even a combination of both. That's mixed case letters. They are not distinguished. For example, let's say I have uppercase letter H here. IBM SPSS statistics still reads it as same variable if I write it in its lower case. See the error message. This variable name duplicates an existing variable name, isn't it? So it means it's still the same thing. So even if I use it in sentence case, let's say the first letter is capital, that's uppercase, while the remaining letters are lower cases, it's still the same thing. This variable name duplicates an existing variable name. So even if I used a mixed case letters, or let's say a combination of both, for example, I have A is lowercase, G is uppercase, and E is lowercase. It's still the same thing because they are not distinguished. Okay, you see, this variable name duplicates an existing variable name. So that's why we said each variable name must be unique. That's rule number 1. Hope you understand that. Rule number 2. Variable names must begin with a letter or one of the characters. @ hash or $sign. Okay, so it must begin with one of these, either @ hash or $sign. If you're using let's say a Mac, most times all options that goes with the option button, let's say option 1 still works. Let's see option 2, you see whole lots of things. We have many signs. This will work, these two will work, so many. They will work if you're using Mac, but please try as much as possible not to use them. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm pressing the option button alongside the numeric numbers. So let's see option 6, I have this. Option 7, I have this. You see, it's all the same thing. So there are whole lots of them. The trademark sign, so many signs, plus or minus signs, they all work together. Okay, will all work. So as you can see, but please try as much as possible to run away from this because it might bring confusion. Subsequent characters can be any combination of letters, numbers, non-punctuation characters, and a period, or even an underscore. Okay, so what I'm saying in essence is that if you want to create a variable name, it must begin with a letter. Let's say we want to create a variable name called H. See, it begins with a letter, or it must begin with an @ sign, maybe @H. Yes, or it might begin with hash sign. Let's say here we have hash H. This won't work because a hash character in the first position of a variable name defines a scratch variable. That is a temporary helper variable that don't show up in the data. So in essence, what we are saying is that scratch variables can only be created with command syntax and not in dialogues that create new variables. Okay, so this won't work. It's going to give us an error message, and here is the error message: invalid variable name, because we cannot create a scratch variable using dialogues. Okay, we have to use command syntax. Also, I said it can also begin with a $sign here. Let's say we have a $sign each. It won't work also because a $sign in the first position indicates that the variable is a system variable. So, and the $sign is not allowed as the initial character of a user-defined variable. So in this case, it will not work also. So for it to work, we'll have to actually define it using command syntax. Okay, so let's see. It's going to show us an error message also. So this is invalid variable name. Okay, hope you understand what I'm saying here. Then the next advice I'd like you to know is that the @ the hash, and the dollar signs or characters are for special purpose. So it is best to avoid them unless you know exactly what you are doing. Okay? Try as much as possible to avoid them, except you know what you are doing. So unless you know what you're doing, please try as much as possible to avoid them. So quickly, for can or may, the rules are as follows. Number one, variable name can or may include alphanumeric characters, non-punctuation characters, a period, or underscore. Okay? So what I'm saying is it might contain variables such as, let's say, A1, you see, it might contain habitate 1, 2, 3, combination of both. It might contain just Adams, say. It might contain, let's say, annual dot income or annual underscore income. Can you see it? So it can contain all this, okay, and a whole lots of that. So what we are saying, it can also contain other characters between them, like maybe an, at, annual dot income, stuffs like that. It can contain whole lots of things. You can put some characters in between them. So what I'm saying is that the period, the underscore, and the characters, maybe at, hash, dollar sign, underscore. Do you understand? And every of these signs can actually come in between them. Okay, they can come in between. So another rule is that variable name can or may contain either lowercase, uppercase, or a combination of both within variable name. Okay? So what I'm saying is I can decide to have a variable name called each, or I can decide to have, this is uppercase, as you can see. I can maybe have a variable name called wage, lowercase. I can also decide to create a variable name with a combination of both upper and lowercase. For example, let's say I want to create a variable name called score, and I want the first letter to be an uppercase, the second letter to be a lowercase, the third letter to be an uppercase, the fourth letter to be a lowercase, and the last letter to be an uppercase. It still works. It accepts that. So this is a combination of both upper and lower cases. So the next rule you need to know also is that variable names can or may be up to 64 bytes long for single byte languages and 32 bytes long for double byte languages. If you don't understand what this means, I'm going to explain that when I come to can't. Okay? So there is something I want you to know is that you should avoid variable names ending with underscores, since such names may conflict with names of variables automatically created by commands and procedures. Okay, what I'm saying is, let's assume I want to create a variable called student with an underscore, ending with an underscore. So we should try as much as possible to run away from this, because it might conflict with variable names automatically created by commands and procedures. Okay, so try as much as possible to run away from that. I'll explain why and what error message you will get when you do that. Okay, in the next presentation. I'd like you to take note of this also. Once a variable name cell is selected with a blue color activated, for example, let's say I just click on this score. As you can see, this is a blue color. It's activating this cell. Okay, so what I'm saying is whatever you type in will appear as the first character. That is, it will begin from the left hand side of the variable name. So what I'm saying is whatever I type in here will come before this S. Okay, so observe, I want to type a variable called student score. So instead of deleting it or double clicking it, I can just type in the student. For example, this is student, you see, student score. It has created the variable for me. Can't. Under the can't, we have rules such as variable names can't be more than 64 bytes long, that is 64 characters in single byte languages like English, Hebrew, Arabic, Russian, Greek, Thai, Spanish, Italian, German, and French. And 32 bytes long, that is 32 characters in double byte languages like Korean, Japanese, and Chinese. What am I saying? So let me try to create a variable name that is 64 bytes long, that is having 64 characters in a single byte language. So I actually invented a word by a combination of two existing words. That's pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis and pneumoencephalogram. Okay, so, and I call this word pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis pneumoencephalogram. Okay, so let's say here I have the word here. So you can see this is the word here, and it's 64 bytes long. That means it has 64 characters. So you see, it has been imputed. But let's assume I have it and I decided to add letter S to it to make it 65. No, it will not work because it cannot contain more than 64 characters because it's a single byte language, and that is the maximum. 64 characters or 64 bytes long. So see the error message here. The variable name is too long. Please reduce the length, okay? So it's not possible to have more than 64 byte long characters or 64 characters, okay, in a single byte language. And let's assume also I want to create a variable name with a double byte language. So can I have up to that 64? Definitely not. So I can only have 32 bytes long or 32 characters. So quickly, I'm using the same word here I have, but I'm going to alter the letters, especially letter A. I'm going to change it to a double byte letter. So just try and check. I'm going to have an error message, of course, because it's more than 32 bytes long. So here I have the word here. If you observe the A here, it's a double byte. Okay, you see the variable name is too long. Please reduce the length. Okay, it's too long. The same letters, everything, except for the fact that letter A here in this case is a double byte letter. Okay, it has double byte. So here I can actually click OK. So in double byte languages, the maximum letters you can have is 32 characters long, okay? Must be 32 characters long, maximum, okay? So let's say I have this here. This is exactly 32 characters. Exactly, it can contain it. But if I add anything, let's say I have 32 here and I want to add another one to make it 33. To make it 33 here, as you can see, this is 33. It will not work because you can only have 32 bytes long or 32 characters, letters in double byte languages. So if this is 33, I'm going to have an error message also. The variable name is too long. Please reduce the length. Okay, hope you understand this. But if I use single byte letters, I can have up to 64 characters. So, okay, so let's say I have this. You see, it's still the same letter A, except that this A is a single byte letter. Okay, it's from a single byte language. So obviously I can have 64. This is 64 here. Observe, it's going to contain it. You see, it has contained it. It's even more than the 32 here. So because this is single byte here, I have 64, and this is double byte here, I have maximum of 32. Okay, So I hope you understand this explanation of 32 bytes long and 64 bytes long. Okay. Then the next rule we have, rule number 2 under the can't rules, we have variable name can't contain space. Let's assume I want to write a variable name called annual income. Annual, then I give space income. It is wrong because you can't have space. That's why we said variable name can't contain spaces. So this is an illegal character. So variable names contains an illegal character. So as you can see, this is the error message we have. It contains an illegal character, and the illegal character in this case is space because it cannot contain spaces. Okay. And the next rule, number 3, we have variable name can't end with a period. It cannot end with a period. Let's say I want to call this admin and end it with a period. It's not possible. Okay, because we end command syntax with periods. Because commands are terminated with a period, we cannot end a user variable name with a period. Okay, observe. Variable name contains an illegal last character. So the last character is illegal because it contains a character that is only made available in the command syntax. So in the command syntax, that's the only place you can end a command with a period to show that that is the end of the command. So the next rule we have is called variable name can't begin with a period or number. It cannot begin with a period. Let's say I want to begin period admin. It will not work. You see, variable name contains an illegal first character. Or let's assume I want to begin with a number. It's not possible. Let's say 1 admin. You see, variable name contains an illegal first character. I hope you understand this. Then the next rule we have under the can't also is that IBM SPSS statistics command syntax reserved words can't be used as variable names. We have all, we have and, by, EQ, GE, GT, LE, LT, NE, not, or, to, with. All these words are reserved words for IBM SPSS statistics command syntax. You can't use them. So just few of them. Let's say I use all. It's not possible. You see, name contains reserved word. Let's assume I use by. You see, name contains reserved words. You get the same thing for all of them. Let's assume I use GT, the same thing. Regardless whether you write them in uppercase or lowercase or any case, it's still the same thing. Okay, GT in uppercase, still the same thing. Name contains a reserved word. Okay, so whether you use by in lowercase or uppercase, it's immaterial. So it's still the same thing. Name contains reserved word. Any word you use with, name contains reserved word. So once you use any of these words I mentioned, any of the words I mentioned, such as all, and, by, EQ, GE, GT, LE, LT, NE, not, or, to, with, all these words are IBM SPSS statistics command syntax reserved words. An advice for you is that avoid using user variable names that ends with underscore, as some are special variables in IBM SPSS statistics. Okay, so just like I previously said, let's say I have admin and I want to end it with an underscore. I told you I was going to write something like this and explain why or show you the error message. Okay, so let's assume I have admin ending with an underscore. See the error message. Some names that end in an underscore are special variables in SPSS statistics. It is inadvisable to end user variable names with this character. Even though when I click OK here, it's going to allow it to exist, but it's inadvisable because we have special variables in IBM SPSS statistics that ends with an underscore. Okay, so it's try as much as possible to avoid them, even though it's possible to have them, but try as much as possible to avoid them unless you know what you are doing. Okay, so let me click OK. It's going to exist. obviously it's going to exist. But if you don't know what you are doing, please try as much as possible to avoid it. Okay. So, okay, you see, it exists. So this is admin underscore. I hope you like this video. Please kindly subscribe to this channel because it means a lot to us. Remember, subscription is free. It does not cost you anything. Okay. Subscribe, hit on the notification bell, share our channel URL, share our videos. Okay. Give us a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give us a thumb down. Make comments in the comment section, ask questions, whatever it is you want to do. Okay, try as much as possible to do that. The whole essence is to make sure we share the knowledge of statistics in the right way. Okay, thank you for watching our videos. Hope to see you in our next video, okay, on how to create variables in IBM SPSS statistics. Thank you for watching. Bye.